the Russians waited 6 months to knock out your lights. We wouldn't have waited 6 hours before doing it. You want to respond? Come back.
Yeah, I'm back. We got cut off. Anyway, what I was saying is that they had a reason to do that, and whatsoever that reason might have been, it's obscure to us. But they have this kind of attack of hitting any kind of civilian infrastructure is always done for a military reason. They destroyed the dam at Kiroy Rog, and they did it for a specific reason. It was not to flood the city or to prevent the citizens from getting water, but rather so as to flood the river, which would cut off a salient that has emerged in the Kherson offensive. And so the Russians, they always have a clear plan and a clear military goal insofar as any attack that they stage. Now, insofar as the Kharkov offensive, my colleague and friend Alexander Mercouris said it best, that the Russians knew that that offensive was coming, and there was a great deal of hysteria on both sides, claiming that this was a great victory for Ukraine, a great loss for Russia. Looking at it after the fact, it was in fact a very spectacular defeat, because over 4,000 men were killed in the Kharkov offensive. Most of them, the vast majority of them, on the Zelensky regime side. Insofar as the Russians were concerned, they knew that this offensive was coming, and they decided that rather than defend this area that had no real military value, they would pull back to the river that was to the east of them, get behind that river to fortified positions that they've already prepared, evacuate both the military personnel and the civilians, and let the Zelensky regime forces walk into this empty territory and pound them with artillery. Because you have to keep in mind that when you are in two defensive lines, when you decide to attack, you have to get out from your defenses and expose yourself. And if you don't have air defense systems or aircraft that can support you, you're going to be exposed to the artillery and the aircraft of your opposition, which is exactly what happened. And so it's estimated, credibly estimated, that in this offensive in Kharkov, the Russians lost just a couple of hundred people, including prisoners of war, whereas the Ukraine side suffered 4,000 dead, and likely, but it's not known, but likely an additional 8,000 to 10,000 wounded, incapacitated. So altogether, these three offensives in Kherson, in Zaporozhye, and in Kharkov, they credibly cost the Zelensky regime some 12,000 men, and an additional, possibly as high as an additional 24,000 casualties in terms of wounded, incapacitated. This is catastrophic. Even if you look at the most conservative figures, it's likely that they lost about 25,000 men. It's going to be a range, and we'll never really know, but between 25,000 and 36,000 men. That's roughly the expected losses that they suffered. And they didn't gain anything except cow country